Here's the nut you have to tighten. 19 millimeter. Otherwise, this whole thing goes, by itself. It won't stay in any position unless you lock it down. So there's a really cheap knob. This is all plastic. It may look like metal in the ad. This is all plastic. This is why I bought the thing, because it has a button instead of that pull-up knob, and I want the rotating to keep my dogs cool over here. There's my boys. One down there. One over there. Anyway. There's that really cheap tiny screw I put 2 washers on. You can see everything else is top clamp is just hanging over. These clamp on, but this is there. In the back of the housing there is what I was talking about. Let's see if you can see this pen. Anyway, I can't get it in there. Back there, where it's screwed on, it's not a hole that matches the diameter of the screw, so it goes right to it. It's 4 square slots that are much bigger than the diameter of the screw, and I thought that was extremely stupid. Cord, not bad, but like I said, this plastic knob, plastic housing and a metal screw with a knob on it is, you got to be worried about that, tightening that down too hard to keep this thing on here. Base works okay, but like I said, I have 2 of these fans. This is the Ultratech brass finished pedestal fan. Much thicker metal base. I actually added a clamp here, so I don't have to worry about it going down. This knob is what went bad on this. It's a smaller blade, but it works okay. I use it for white noise. There's that Air King I was talking about. Much better quality cord. You see down there, it's a nice thick 3-point plug on it, really flexible cord. These are all screws all the way around. There's none of that clamp it on and put some silly thing at the bottom jazz. It's all screws all the way around, threaded screws. So there's none of this throw it through a hole and put in a tiny screw you can barely get a screwdriver in, with a nut that's almost too small to even hold this thing. Anyway, like I said, my initial opinion here is, I like the way it works, the feel of it. I like the fact that you got this, you can just press it on. Now if you turn the fan off, right, and it's a really gentle breeze, it's not nasty like they make it out to be, especially on low. If you turn this off and you don't turn your oscillating knob off, this will continue to oscillate, which I thought was rather funny. But the whole point of this is off and on. I'm hoping that's going to last longer than those 2 pull knobs did. Anyway, like I said, my initial impressions was, this is flimsy. You gotta be, this is a kind of a knob and a plastic fitting that you always worry about snapping it right here, because these things aren't that durable. The fact that you have to tighten this nut down in order to adjust the tilt, I don't know. I guess it's more heavy duty, 19 millimeter nut. It's more heavy duty, but the minute you loosen this up, this thing goes all the way to the back because there's a spring in there. And like I said, that's I couldn't believe that the screws that go in the back of this went into square holes. I mean, like what? What kind of idiot doesn't know that you want that to be as tight as possible? So I had to sit there and look at the pattern on the back of that motor, the plate on the front. Look at that pattern because it's got 4 little things around it and like center them right to left, up to down, sort of. Because there's way too much slack in a square hole with a small diameter screw that goes into it. I just don't understand that at all. You know, and like I said, this screw down here is so small you can barely get a screwdriver into it, and the nut's even smaller. I mean, I tried a zip tie, but I couldn't get it to tighten down hard enough. So anyway, hi Shadow. Anyway, that's my review. The whole thing with these things online is you can't really go and look at details like this. Get your hands on it, and you know, can tell what kind of quality is the cord, how is the fan guards put together, how is the how does it screw on there, how's the clamping, is it going to hold up, is it durable. Base is a little big compared to the other 16-inch I have, but it's pretty stable. That's got 4 bolts, and again, the holes had a lot of slack in them. There was no lock washer to make sure that they don't loosen. And that cap you see at the very bottom, I have a zip tie, see the yellow zip ties on there? The cap at the very bottom right there, it's just sitting on there because that's covering up the 4 bolts that bolt it to that. So anyway, so far I'm like, well, I like the rotating function. The speed of the fan on low is more than pleasant. You can see how close I am here, and my dogs are right there. And I just wanted something that would blow air over to the, try not to put on the air conditioning. Anyway, like I said, I give it a 3 for construction and a 4 for the fact I like the things I like about it is good airflow on low, but not so bad that you're gonna go, God dang, I wish I could turn it down farther. Good airflow. That oscillating bug, if it lasts, that's major. Because like I said, I have 2 fans here, $90 a piece, 2 years old. Neither one's oscillating function works because of the hokey ass pull it up, push it down knob. You can tell that plastic kind of junk does, it's just not well made. It's not mechanical. I tried looking for some fans, they had the actual rotating lever on the outside of the motor so you could, and it was not one of those pull up, push down, but I don't know, maybe getting an expensive stuff there. Anyway, I'll start rattling, but I'm just saying, I like the fan speed, the size of the fan blade, the 3 speeds on low, it's pleasant. On high, they make it sound like it's a hurricane. It's not. My Air King in there, I'd say, even though the numbers match up or close to each other, because I checked the CFMs on all 3 of these fans for I bought anything. Even though the numbers match up, I'd say my 20-inch fan is more powerful just from the kind of breezy, because I got one in my back bedroom there. My back bedroom there that blows air out, and here's where I pull the air in. So, and I've had those for a couple of years too. Anyway, I'll stop rattling, but I'm a firm believer in precision, metal parts whenever possible. And, like I said, you can tell if it's got a cheap cord, it's going to be other cheap stuff on it. And like I said, it makes no sense to have square slots for screws securing a guard to the back of the motor that are, more than twice the diameter of the screw itself. That's just too much slop. I mean, how are you supposed to center that correctly? That should be a no-brainer. It should fit right into a mold that keeps it right where it should be, and it should be holes, not squares. I couldn't believe it. I'm trying to put them in these other holes. It didn't match up. Anyway, that's the end of that. I didn't know this was a video. It said I started it, but I did a hell of a lot of typing. I hope this is of some use. I don't know if there's a better fan. I went around looking, checking everything else. When you're talking something for around $100, I don't know.